Yeah. Prohm. So we just had a question. Who is the better transfer pickup this year? Alfonso Plummer or James Akinjo? I don't want to talk about that, but it is a segue into Baylor beating Kansas yesterday. And we haven't really touched on that game yet. So I want to pick your brain on this a little bit. You coach obviously in the Big 12 last season. So how is Baylor back? Like what's how concerned are you about what they are without Jonathan Chamachachwa? I think that is a big loss for them. I think the fact that they don't have the shooting with LJ Cryer is huge, but coming back from the early punch that Kansas threw yesterday and winning that game at home, I thought was a pretty big statement from the Bears.
Yeah, I thought it was huge. And obviously they had a short rotation yesterday. They only played 7 guys. But Thamba, in a game where he had to be big and where they need more from him, he has his probably best game of the year where he gets 18 points and 8 rebounds. But I thought they had a lot of guys step up. I think we talked about when the injury to JTT happened, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to play small ball with Thamba at the 5, or they're going to put Brown or Jeremy how do you pronounce his last name?
Sohan.
Sohan at the 5 and go small, and that's what they've done. And I think their guard play is very, very good. They need to get Eldrick Carr back for another experienced shooter. But I like Akinjo, Meyer, Cryer, those guys. I think they're very good, and I think they showed a lot last night to where if they can go to win at Texas, they're going to keep a lot of pressure on Kansas to share the Big 12 title.
Yeah. What do you think, Carter?
Yeah, no, I think I think that this coaching job by Scott Drew, I mean, we all know that Scott Drew is a great coach, but I think like in situations like this where coaches face adversity and they have injuries, one, it's great to see players step up and have bigger roles. So players like Sohan, Brown, like Coach said, seeing them step up is great, but also seeing a great coach make adjustments to what he has and with injuries, I think that's really testament to what Baylor's doing right now. And they kind of fall in the same mold as me as for a team that's taken lumps throughout the year. So they've had these injuries, they've had guys out, like in Illinois, I would say. So they're battle tested. They're playing in the Big 12. They had these injuries. They had to play through that, coming off a national title last year, losing all these NBA guys. And we're still talking about how good of a basketball team they are. So I'm all in on this Baylor team. And also the fact that it's Akinjo, Meyer, and Cryer, that's just a bar in itself. That's another reason why I love this Baylor basketball team.
So I think that I have a very hard time fully buying into them when they're basically playing 6 guys, right? Like Dale Bonner is fine, but he is not really a threat. And he's just kind of a body out there because you have to have someone play some minutes. They basically go 6 deep at this point. And to me, that's very difficult to do when your second rotation or your second team is playing a guy in a position that hasn't really played all season long, where you're throwing Sohan at the 5, right? Before Chachua got hurt, they never did that. Their lineup was basically you would get 20 minutes with Thamba and 20 minutes with JTT. So I think that it's difficult to change what you want to do in the middle of the season and to play with only 6 guys. Now, if they get Cryer back and you get that spacing and you get that shooter and you get the guy that can create a little bit more space for Kinjo to go out there and do his thing, I think that's big. Prohm, I also want to hit you on a question about Kansas. It feels like they're starting to play a little bit more up-tempo here, right? It looks like they're trying to put a little bit of an emphasis on getting out in transition, getting up quicker shots, maybe not having to rely so much on getting stuff in the half court, knowing that they're not able to kind of think McCormick, he's been up and down. I think he's got a bad knee now or banged up or something. Are you seeing that as well? And has Bill done, has he ever played like an up-tempo team like that before?
Well, I mean, I think what he's done too is like we talked about Baylor, he's played a lot of different ways. I mean, you look at years back, I mean, it was 2 game, and we're going high, low, yeah, and we're going to play through these 2 bigs. And obviously he's always had great players, at the wing and obviously the guards, you go Mason Graham, just a recent date. But I think some of it, a lot of people now are trying to take Abaji away. If you can play in transition a little bit more, it gets him some opportunities, gets him maybe some easier looks. But I really like Kansas. I mean, I know that was a tough one for them last night. I knew it was going to be a tough game for them. But I love Braun. I think he's a really, really good player. Like Baji, I just think his leadership and toughness and ability to make plays. And then Wilson, I think that's the X factor is really Wilson. I think you kind of know Braun, Agbaji. Wilson's kind of here and there, here and there, here and there. And if they can get him to kind of complete that wing, then their point guard play can be solid because Harris not going to hurt you, and he knows what coach wants. And then they'll just rotate in at the 5. I mean, he'll throw everybody out there if he needs to, whether it's Lightfoot, McCormick, he'll go Adams, he'll go young, young players, he'll throw them freshmen off the bench, and Clements. But I love Kansas. I think they're really good.
Where would you, Sweeney, rank Kansas in terms of national title contenders? Are they in that top tier? Do you think that even with this loss, they can get a number 1 seed? Like, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I think they can certainly get a 1 seed. Them and Baylor came into yesterday as the only 2 teams with 10 Q1s. Baylor obviously jumps them to get to 11, but they have a tremendous resume. The 2-star players, I've been a little bit more down on Kansas's national championship hopes, to win 6 because of the questions at the point and the questions at center. And I thought McCormick yesterday didn't necessarily remove those questions. He was really good on the glass, but he just wasn't great around the basket. Shot only 4 for 11. And so I still don't necessarily love them among the top 5 or 6 teams that you really buy into nationally. But I really thought they played a whale of a game yesterday. I mean, you're on the road in a really, really tough environment in Waco. Baylor was up for that game. Obviously, Kansas punched them in the mouth early, but they really battled, man. And I thought Brown was really solid. Took him a little while. I thought to get it going with Flagler on him, but found a way. Agbaji did his thing. Like, I think they're really good. I think the point guard and the center stuff hold me back from really buying into them as like a team that I want to pick as a national champion. Like I don't see myself filling out my bracket on Selection Sunday and coming with Kansas as my champion. Does that mean that they can't win it? No, but I don't see a way where I'm going to fill out the bracket and say I'm picking Kansas to win it all. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. But the only reason why I'm not afraid of them is that it feels like every team in college basketball we're saying, yeah, they'd be great if they only had point guard play, right?
That's
like
true.
How many teams are we saying like they have great point guard play? And like, look, that is, we made this joke last night on After Dark. Like, we need a little counter in the corner of our show so that people kind of see, like, you hear the ding every time someone says point guard play. But I mean, it's a thing, right? Like, you having a great guard in March. If you go back, I've made this point 100 times, but if you go back all the way to 2010, every team that's won the national title has basically started 2 point guards, with the exception of 2012 Kentucky, who started a first-round pick at the point and had the top 2 picks in the draft in Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Everyone else has had 2 guards. In last year, right? It was Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler. In 2019, it was Kihei Clark and Ty Jerome. In 2018, it was Jalen Brunson and whoever else you want to put out. They basically had 4 point guards on that Villanova team. You go all the way through the line. So not having great point guard play is going to matter. Listen,